Federal legislation known as the SAVE Act is raising concerns for how the law's proof of citizenship requirements for federal elections would impact the voting eligibility of a number of groups, including married women. To learn more, we welcome Jenny Guzman with Common Cause Arizona. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's define the SAVE Act. What exactly does it call for?
Yeah, the SAVE Act is federal legislation that would essentially hurt all Americans. It requires proof of citizenship regardless of whether or not you're already registered to vote. If you're updating your voter registration, it makes it so that everybody has to provide proof of citizenship and also adds additional barriers when voting.
Now, this is for federal elections only.
The SAVE Act right now, it's unclear if it would impact only federal or state. The way it's designed, we anticipate it impacting all elections.
Okay, I thought the legislation itself, though, targeted federal, but you're saying it could spill over into all elections.
Exactly. So the way that it's currently designed, because of the way that it's written, it could impact state elections as well.
What would be the acceptable documents?
The acceptable documents, for example, would be right now, when you register to vote, all you need is voter registration, and then most counties now require proof of citizenship. So when you're providing proof of citizenship, that typically means a U.S. passport or a birth certificate. Now, there's the Real ID that just came in,
yes.
And as we know, that's being used in airports starting soon. But with that, that wouldn't be enough to register to vote. You would also need, whether it's your Real ID or your regular driver's license, in addition to that, you would also need to supply a U.S. passport or a birth certificate or another alternate proof of citizenship.
And this is when registering to vote?
When registering to vote, when updating your voter registration, or if you're needing to cure your voter registration.
And you must show these documents in person?
In person, right now, the way that it's written, again, it's a lot of stuff is very unclear, but the way that we're anticipating is that it'll require everybody to go in person to their voter registration offices and provide these documents in person.
This seems like it mirrors, to great effect, Arizona's proof of citizenship requirement.
Somewhat, for the most part. Some counties allow documented proof of citizenship to be done online, to be done via emailing. It depends on the county, but this goes even a step further. So it's a lot more strict than what Arizona already has in its law.
In Arizona, the two-tier system here, does that go away if this becomes law?
So this federal law would supersede what we currently have.
Yes.
So all of Arizona's counties would then need to follow through with what the SAVE Act would require from them.
So with that in mind, and because we have this two-tiered system, my goodness gracious, it's so complicated regarding federal elections. You only have to show this.
Right.
Other elections, you have to show more things.
Correct.
This, as you say, would supersede. With that in case, would the SAVE Act affect Arizona less than other states?
Definitely not. If anything, we would see it hurt people that thought that they were prepared because they've already gone through different proof of citizenship burdens through Arizona, but now they're going to see additional requirements and barriers.
Okay. Now, folks that have problems accessing documents or getting documents that have the accurate name, these sorts of things, there's a lot of concern. And let's start with married women, because that's the one that could that really be a problem?
Definitely. So when people get married, it takes them a while to be able to update whether it be their passport, their ID, all of their materials that has their updated name if they're changing their last name. Under the SAVE Act, everything would have to be already updated and accurate, and it would have to perfectly match their legal name. So if they're registering themselves with their updated name, but they're still waiting on receiving their passport, if they're still waiting to be able to save up, to be able to afford some of these documents or whatever the case may be, they would not be able to register to vote, or they would go through many, many burdens.
Indigenous people.
Yes.
Impact there.
Yes. So Indigenous people, anybody that has a tribal ID, that may not be sufficient enough to be able to vote as well. You would also need to provide an alternate form of proof of citizenship, because tribal IDs themselves don't necessarily prove that somebody is already a citizen. So it would have additional requirements there as well. So this would impact tribal folks, married women, seniors, people in the military, and more.
College students?
Definitely college students. They would have to then make sure that they're providing accurate information. A lot of college students, when they go to college, they're not taking their birth certificate with them. They're not taking their passports with them. So a lot of the times that's left at home. But if they're wanting to register to vote, if they're wanting to update their voter registration or cast their ballot, they're going to need to provide that.
But the Real ID situation, though, sounds interesting. That would play a pretty big factor here, would it not?
Definitely, because you're already telling Arizonans and Americans across the country, hey, make sure you have everything. We need a real ID. We need to make sure that you're a citizen. You already need to provide a lot of these materials to get a real ID. But then you're being told, hey, guess what? Your real ID isn't going to be enough to cast your ballot. It's not going to be enough to update your voter registration. Go find the rest of your materials
This
again.
legislation, this SAVE Act, and everything you've talked about, there's a lot of, it's vague in a lot of ways, but there is a target here. Why is this necessary?
I wouldn't say that it's necessary. If anything, the SAVE Act is hurting the people that it's claiming it's seeking to help. Because we know that already non-citizens voting is not a real issue. Arizona already has very complicated, very strict, very safe processes to be able to verify elections and to ensure that every ballot casted is safe and accurate. So what we're seeing with the SAVE Act is additional barriers that would make it more complicated and actually hurt American citizens, people that are eligible to vote more than anyone else.
As a preventative measure, though, as far as, election fooling around, tomfoolery here, does it prevent that kind of thing?
Definitely not. What we're going to be seeing is everyday Americans, everyday Arizonans being impacted with their ability to participate in their civic duty. These are people that are not going to know until it's too late that they don't have the necessary materials to be able to register to vote, update their ballot, or more. And that is much more harmful than anything else that they're claiming is happening. We know that that's not true. We know that that our elections are secure, and this is only going to make it so that voters feel disenfranchised.
Give me a timetable and what to watch for as far as the legislation is concerned.
So at the moment, the SAVE Act has already passed the House. It can go to the Senate at any point. We don't have a date yet. We don't have a timetable necessarily as to when we can anticipate it. So it could happen anytime this year, anytime in August, anytime at the end of the year or later. But what we need to make sure is that folks are calling their senators, so in this case, Ruben Gallego and Mark Kelly, contacting their local lawmakers as well and letting them know where they stand on this legislation and letting them know how they'd be impacted as well.
All right, Jenny Guzman, Common Cause Arizona. Thank you.
Thank you.